So the topic of this video is Japanese maples. We are here visiting Ray Robinson, a Newport News master gardener who has spent years and years planting, taking care of, and growing his own Japanese maples. Many different varieties, and he is going to give us the benefit of his expertise. So, Ray, tell us about this tree right behind you.
Okay, this is an Acer palmatum Korean, and it's generally one of the main types of Japanese maples that are so popular here in the States. It produces seeds prolifically, and it's one of my favorites, and where I get most of my babies from the seeds. Matter of fact, over here I can show you where some babies have started from this year.
Okay, here we go.
And
oh, I see.
Down here you'll see babies that I have left from this past year. Let them grow on their own. I try to clear around them. I give a little bit of compost, and I water them almost every day. Not quite every day, but water them.
This one in the
And
little cup
this one is the same kind that I've transplanted into a cup, and hopefully it'll just take off. These I'll pull up later on and put them in the same type of container.
Now, looking over here, we have one that has a very different form and shape to it. Tell us about this one right here.
Okay, that one is the variety is, let me make sure I get that right.
Say that again?
Emerald, this is an emerald lace.
Emerald lace.
That has been trained to go over my little pond, whatever, that I have fish. I have fish in it. It's also, I use it that way to protect the fish from birds. And kind of hides the
that's
fish
always
a
a problem. And the begonias look so nice inside it.
Yeah, they come up every year. That's pretty cool. When they flower, they'll be flowering after a while.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, looking over here, there's a very different one. Let's talk about this one.
Yes, that's one that I purchased, and that was trained to be a draping form of
You can't just train
maple.
anyone to be a
No,
draping
you
form.
can't.
No.
And I'm sure it was grafted in order for it to drape the way it's draping.
You think there's a graft at the top somewhere
in
here?
There's a graft at the top. And then they trained it, and then I planted it, and it's growing crazy. I mean, it's just growing all out, and I really don't want to cut it, but the thing is that it's really beautiful in the fall because it turns red.
Wow.
And so this whole thing turns red. A number of people will try to train them to go over fences, arbors, and things like that. But it hasn't put out any babies.
Does it layer?
Does it what?
Layer in the ground? Root in the ground?
I haven't seen it do that yet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Have not seen it do that.
And then we have, whoa, look at this little one right here.
Oh.
Now this one is a beautiful color. It's got a few insect issues this year, but it's a gorgeous color. Isn't it the same?
It's a blood good.
There's one in the back. Maybe you can see the same dark color just above the roof of the shed. So that's a big one of this.
Right.
What is it?
It's called the blood good. That's the blood good variety, and it stays red all year round. And it's a baby. I plan on maybe transplanting it later on this year.
And these want a fair amount of sun, I think you were saying.
Evidently, yes.
Yeah.
They can take sun, part sun, full shade.
Right.
Part sun.
But the other ones we were looking at, the draping one, the emerald lace, and the Korean, how are they for sun and shade?
They take pretty much the same thing, but mostly full shade.
Okay. Now
This one seems to be doing really well
right here.
in the shade,
Right.
and same as the
As that one right there.
right.
Where now over there, that little bright torch of a green one over by the arbor. Now that is another Korean one, I think.
That's a Korean one.
Yeah, be sure to speak up. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So then we have one more over here that's again quite different.
This is a dissectum,
Okay.
and it drapes when it grows up. It has a tendency to drape. It's a lace leaf type of Japanese maple. Very popular and very people really like the lacy.
Very fringy. Now, have you done any shaping of the foliage of the
Yes.
branches?
I'll shape. What I'll do is I'll shape those branches, those foliage that do not tend to drape over to make that umbrella look. I'll take those out,
Right.
and
And you've made kind of a almost a shelf or a plateau in here.
yes,
Which is
yes. Matter of fact, yes.
there you go. So
You
that's
see, this
that's
has to
part
be
of the
cut.
secret,
This
isn't it?
needs to be cut. Keep in mind that all Japanese maples love to be trimmed or pruned at any time of the year. They love that. Once they do that, then they start growing even more. It doesn't matter what part of the year that they can be pruned.
Now, you want to make sure that they have adequate moisture, though, when that happens.
is and no more than a third of the tree.
Of course. Well, marvelous then. How long have you been doing this, Ray?
Oh my gosh. This house belonged to my mom, and then so I would say actually in the Japanese maple business, I've been doing this for about 10 years. 10,
Wow.
maybe 12 years.
And so all of these are about no more than 10 or 12 years old.
Yes.
Wow.
There's actually that other Korean is 15 years old.
Okay. Oh, really? And it's not. Now it's a lot smaller than this one right here.
It's just the way it's growing,
Is it
and
the
it's the
sun?
way it was trained.
Ah.
And yes, partially because of the sun. This is a young one. This is a baby from that one. Almost everything around here is a
Well, let's-
baby from that one over there. And I can show you the babies.
No, I was looking at sorry. But let's continue. We're
And
talking about.
here's a blood good too.
There's another
by the
one.
way.
Okay. Now, what he's talking about, the old one, is over here.
Just
We'll
walk.
look at this as we go through again. Admire it. Notice the seeds.
Yeah, I have yet to get to see.
Okay, and then we're going to walk over here. So, what he was talking about, this is the old one. That's about 15 years old. That's
Yeah.
his first one right here. This is a Korean, right?
Yes.
And now, how much training do you give it now that it's mature?
Now all I do is just trim it. This one.
Meaning, just describe what you mean by trim.
Pruning.
But what do you prune anymore?
Okay. See, like I like the canopy to drape over like this. Now, see, if you look at this, or this one right here, this branch right here, I may prune this off, and just to keep this area, give it some
Right.
speckled shade, light.
Right.
And if you can look, there's some babies in there too.
Oh my
There's
goodness.
a lot of babies in there.
Oh my goodness, yes there are. Look at that. Look at that.
A lot of babies.
So this is the kind of grandparent, and then this is another offspring right over here.
Yes.
This one that's so bright.
Right.
And interesting that it's growing more upright.
More upright, and that just depends on when it's been taken out of the ground, how I train it.
Right.
Because if you look over here,
What's that? Oh well, can't have an accident on the film. Okay.
you see this one here.
Okay.
See, this is a great grandchild also of the Korean. But if you look, it does appear to similarly look similar to a blood good by its trunk and its but it's not. It's
No.
not. It's a Korean.
Cool.
The thing to understand when you purchase a Japanese maple from a nursery or online, most are grafted. So when you plant it and it produces seeds, you probably won't get the same plant as you would that would look like the parent. So it's going to look a little bit different.
But these are all straight root, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wonderful.
these are all straight root.
Right. Very nice. Well, so what's your advice to the person who is thinking about getting a Japanese maple and they have some shade in their garden?
If they have some shade, personally, I would plant it in that shade.
Right.
I would not plant, especially a new Japanese maple, in full sun.
Right. And what
There
now?
are.
Afternoon sun or morning sun?
If any sun, morning.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Right. Well, goodness.
Now, there are some plants that I have, and which this one is included, and this one of the babies we saw over there, that I have gotten from seed.
Right.
Now, what you do is you let the seed. These seeds right here. You let these seeds mature, and when they mature in the fall,
You let them mature on the tree.
on the tree or on the ground, when they fall on the ground and they're brown, then they are mature.
Ah.
And so what you do, if you try to do it now, nothing's going to happen.
They're not ready.
So they're not ready. So what you do is you take the seed, and you pull the wings off. Pull the wings off. Then you take the seed itself, and put it in.
That's this little round.
The little round part.
Little round part.
Right.
Now I'd asked you earlier a question where we know that red maples, standard red maples, are male and female, and so you may, if it doesn't have a lump in the middle, it was from a male and it's never going to grow. But these apparently Japanese maples, it doesn't matter.
So far, I haven't seen that to be an issue.
Right. So if it's got a seed, you're looking for a lumpy thing in the middle, and there's your two seeds right there. If you can take a look at that, and so do you split those apart?
No. What you do, you have to stratify them just like you do some other hard seed.
Define that.
You take the wings off.
Right.
You take the seed itself, and you put it in warm water.
Let's walk and move it into the shade. And put it in warm water.
Warm water that's just warm enough for you to put your hands in. And then what you do, you leave it in there for about 24 hours at that temperature. Try to keep it warm.
Just about 95 degrees, like your hand.
Yes.
Okay.
So that you don't burn yourself.
Yeah.
You leave it for about 24 hours. You take it out, and then you mix it with a little bit of topsoil, or preferably potting soil, just plain potting soil.
Okay.
And then you put it in your fridge. See, this is a kind of complicated, long process. You put it in your fridge for about 90 days, and then you can plant it. But the best time to plant these would be in the spring, early spring.
Well, 90 days, so it ripens in the fall.
Put it in the fridge.
You get in the fridge 33 months,
right.
And then you're into the spring.
In the spring, and then you can plant that.
Now, can you do that before? I mean, what if you get a freeze?
Now, if you take the wings off, treat the seed with the heat, and then you're in winter. If you're in winter, you can plant them right away. Now, just make sure you mark where they are.
Oh yeah.
So that you'll see if they grow.
So they need to. It needs to stay like 40 degrees or so. So if you had a sudden warm spell in the middle of winter, would you put ice on the ground around them or something?
No, just leave them. Just leave them, because the babies that I showed you over here, they go through all kinds of changes.
Sure.
I mean, they go through what nature puts them through.
Right.
In the wintertime, and so some winters we have warm winters, and they come up anyway. I get a load of babies over here.
Cool.
Cool. But it's just a matter of when you dig them out, I would take those out. Take those out that nature made, not me, but what nature made, and put them with a little bit of topsoil, a little bit of compost, and put them totally in the shade, in a cool place, and then they'll start growing.
Lovely.
That's the best way to do it. But you still have to pre-treat them with the warm water. You have not the babies, but the seeds.
Right.
You have to pre-treat those seeds.
Well, Ray, this is just what an experience to see so many different kinds and all the knowledge that you've gained. Thank you. I'm sure that if someone has a question, they can call the Newport News Cooperative Extension Office,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
they will put you in touch with Ray.
Right. And
Thank you so.
and just keep in mind that Japanese maples are a very popular tree, and they're actually very easy to take care of. That's one of the trees that has very little problems with disease, and not too many insect problems. And but if you put them in shade, a little bit of sun, they'll do just fine. And don't forget to prune. They love that pruning.
And we're wrapped.